Well, hello. Once again, this is me, Leonard Wells, broadcasting as usual from Haslingden, north of Manchester in the UK. Today is Friday, the 19th of November, 2010. And I'm going to reflect, if I may, about railways. On Tuesday last, I did one of my monthly trips to London, which involves a very early start in the morning, express bus to Manchester, fast train to London. Not going to mention the name of the train company, but I think you can guess from Manchester. Then underground train from Euston to Tottenham Court Road, change onto the Central Line, get off at Notting Hill Gate, walk down Kensington Church Street, do the business that I've come to do there, and the same coming back. On this occasion, because of the way it fell, I arrived in Manchester at 4:20, and because of this tremendous traffic, which always crawls up Bury New Road to Prestwich, it was nearly 2 hours before I arrived here in Haslingden. And in fact, it only took 2 hours from Euston to Manchester, or just over. But the reflections I want to bring to your attention are these. As we were travelling along, we came to a crawl, and I noticed a sign saying, "No trespassing on the railway, £1,000 fine." This immediately brought to my mind the railways of Romania, of which I've travelled quite a bit. All-night trains and day trains, so I'm fairly au fait with what goes on in Romania. Now, in Romania, to begin with, the big difference you'll find is that they are very, very cheap, incredibly cheap. A fraction of the price here, which is the way it should be. That's the first thing. Second thing is, they travel all night. They run all night. There are trains all hours of the night. Not from every station, of course, but most of the villages and towns in Romania can be reached by an overnight train, maybe with a change perhaps, but nevertheless overnight. This doesn't happen here, except with the occasional sleeper train from London to Scotland. The second thing is that the stations in Romania don't have platforms, at least not platforms in the sense that we have, where our platform comes up to the level of the railway carriage door. In Romania, it's just flat, so you have to climb up like you're going up the side of on a ship's ladder onto the train, and it can be difficult for elderly people and rather daunting, so you always need somebody about to give you a hand. It's similar, quite similar to the way it used to be in America, if it's still not the same. And the other thing that you notice in Romania, they have different classes of train, of course, first class and second class, but then they have intercity, which is the top-notch one, which is as good as anything here, which has electrically operated seats, which you can recline. Don't get that in England. Then they have at the bottom of the list the personal trains, as they're called, P for personal, which effectively are cattle trucks and full of rather poor peasants. Not that I have any objection to that, because I'm a peasant myself. I'm from poor stock myself. And because their platforms are low and you have to climb up into the trains, it's the practice there, when a train is signalled, for the people waiting for that train will cross the track to get to the particular track on which the train is arriving or departing. Most stations have several platforms, sometimes three. And you look on the notice board and it says track number such and such, train so and so and so and so, going to there, going to here, there or everywhere. So people cross the track in front of the train. And as the train arrives in the station, it's blowing its horn. The way trains in America used to ring a bell as they came into a town. And it's incredible to watch people crisscrossing in front of the train. And this happens along the track too. There seems to be no fear amongst the people, and it seems to be accepted practice. Here we've got a situation where the track is owned by Network Rail, and even the station staff are forbidden to step onto the track. Well, this may be safety conscious, but if they can do this in Romania, admittedly the trains are very slow there, so you've got plenty of time to jump out of the way, but nevertheless it gives one pause for thought, as they say. Another thing you notice is that at every station, the majority of them anyway, the ticket office is open through the night, which means that there's always somebody there, so there's a slight feeling of security, which you don't get here. A lot of people won't hang about on a British Railway station at night. They're not sure who they might bump into, and there's no staff about to help you. And in addition, each station has a station master, a uniformed man who seems to live there, but he may just be there during the day and another man at night. But every time a train comes in, or even goes through without stopping, he appears in his full uniform and salutes, or waves his wand, the kind of wand that they carry on the platforms on the stations in Europe. So you get a feeling of homeliness on the Romanian railways. They're cheap, they travel all night, they're slow, all right, but they will speed up in time. Nevertheless, it keeps an awful lot of people off the roads. You get a feeling that the railways are there for the people and not for the shareholders of some train company. You also get the feeling that the government supports the railways, whereas here you get the feeling that the government would wish that they would go away, particularly the Conservatives, because most Conservatives drive around in Mercedes and they're not interested in travelling by train, because for them travelling by train means mixing with the riffraff, and they don't like to mix with the riffraff. Sorry if that sounds a bit offensive, but in my experience it's the case. So there you have it. Those are a few of my recollections on the railways. And I think on adding everything up, I prefer the Romanian railways to the British railways. I feel more at home there, and I feel happier on their trains. Thank you, and cheerio for now. God bless, while it's still legal in the UK to say God bless.